Today on Drawbli, we are drawing
robots.
Apparently sexy robots over
Apparently
here.
cute robots over here. Oh, we did not get together and talk about this.
Well, hey, click that subscribe button if you're new around here.
Comment below if you've got an idea for what we should draw in the future.
Tell me about your sassy robot that you got going on over here. So you referenced a real person.
I did. I don't know. I didn't put a lot of thought into what I was gonna do. I was like, well, why don't I just try to block out a person, add a little weird perspective, and just try to render metal. And so I figure I'll spend a little time trying to block out some shapes and a person, and the rest of the time attempting to render metal. I saw a little 2-step, 3-step process of rendering metal. Oh my gosh, on Pinterest, and I tried to copy that for the whole thing. So it's a little study, you could say.
Yeah.
Tell me about choosing BMO. That was such a genius stroke.
The genius brush stroke, that's right. So obviously robot picks the best robot ever.
Obviously.
One of the best robots at least. And my goal here was to use the reference and try to replicate it, as best as I could, without sampling any color and with just kind of drawing it. And the colors end up, not obviously being pretty far off, but I think that they still work well together at the end. But I'll talk more about that when we get to it. So, obviously just drawing some really simple shapes here.
But they're so clean. They're very clean shapes.
Yeah.
Mine are
I try.
Sketchy, messy, figuring out where things are gonna go. I never even get the legs at a good spot. They just kind of end up what they are. I'm like, whatever. I think it's all on the reference layer. This is a messy, messy robot.
I try to use my analytical strengths here with my proportional gauging and everything.
Oh, you just eyeballed it, huh? That's cool.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't want to just outline the drawing, but I wanted it to be as close as I could get from eyeballing within the time frame. I think I could get it a lot closer if I hyper focused in on it and had infinite time, but I wasn't gonna do that.
You're really good though at seeing those very tiny little adjustments in a picture. I feel like from your character sculpting work that you do, where you take a 2D image and you detail in on making it a perfect sculpted representation of itself.
Perfect, that's right. 100% perfect. No mistakes.
No
Never.
mistakes.
I've never made a mistake.
I don't think there's any mistakes in your sculptures.
So you're trying to make some very boxy shapes over here with some very rounded shapes contrasting it.
Yeah.
What's going on with the legs? Are you drawing through on the shape?
I'm trying to draw through. I'm trying to experiment with different placement for the legs and feet, trying to figure out what I like. I thought I might do this bended thing.
Oh.
The whole thing ends up kind of resembling in sketchiness and level of expertise, which is minimal. The olive oil fairy, I think.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
No, I think this one's actually a lot better than your olive oil
I think
fairy.
so too, but still showing that I have a ways to go.
Well, yeah, I mean, we both have a ways to go. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see how you go in and do the metal, because I've seen the finished version of your robot, and it looks really cool. The metal just looks awesome. Oh my,
thanks.
Abby, did you draw on your reference?
Didn't I already say that? Yeah, I totally drew on the reference.
Classic.
I totally drew on it.
Classic beginner mistake.
Yeah. So I went back in and did
one that I only make every other drawing. Oh, I like how you're going back over top of your lines and redoing them and cleaning them up.
Theoretically, to be cleaner, they're still quite messy. I don't really clean them so much as just kind of redo them.
Look, cleaner doesn't mean clean.
Fair.
And like with art, better doesn't mean good. It means what it is. It means better. Our goal isn't to.
Yeah.
Your goal should never be to be able to do something oh, I want to be good at. It's what does that even mean? You shouldn't try to be good at something. You should try to be better at something.
Yeah. Try to be better.
Actually, an achievable,
better than my olive oil
objective
fairy.
thing. Yeah, because you can compare from one thing to the last and be like, oh yeah, that's objectively better. But if you're just trying to get good, it's well, will we ever?
I know. Will we ever be happy with where you are in the moment. Be happy with what you're creating now.
I'm happy with my BMO.
Oh, you should be. Your BMO in the moment is really good, very clean.
BMO in the moment.
You're taking your time with your fundamental shapes, and that can only lead to good things. Happy results from happy, good fundamental shapes.
I think, it's really hard for me to, I remember watching, essentially, people draw, like what I'm doing right now, where you start working on one part, and then from there you, expand out, and, you work on the most random pieces, it feels like, which, watching this back, I feel like I'm doing that. And whenever I saw, before I got into drawing, people work that way, I would always say, why are you doing it that way? Why wouldn't you start with, really fast, roughing in everything as quick as possible to figure out the proportions? But here I am doing exactly it just, I don't know, in the moment it made sense to go through it in this process. Maybe if I had more time I would have started off that way, but I don't know, it just it kind of felt natural.
No, it looks really good.
I think it came from a place of not caring if it was absolutely, perfect. So.
Oh, that's a place I start from many times.
Well, a lot of the time I'm I this guitar, the guitar gets really jank perspective-wise, and I'm just screw it, who cares?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Move on and we'll get it next time.
Get your hour count up. That's all you can do. Cool. It's looking good.
What's going on with these blocky shapes with the white? Oh, you're filling them in.
I fill in a lot of them, and then I start to have an idea that I could leave some of these panels white and maybe make them light panels or different colored panels. So I just left some of them blank for contrast. Trying to think of how I could make it look a little bit more interesting. And here we go, my first attempt at rendering the metal, which I go back and redo many times, trying to learn how better to do it.
Tell me about it.
Well, the little printed step-by-step that I saw, it was just one picture that had a block of gray.
A JPEG.
They added, it was a JPEG that had a block of gray outlined in black. They added some white stuff, they added some black stuff, and then they kind of blended it together. And
then metal.
And then it was metal. And I was like, well, that doesn't look too hard. Well, guess what? It was hard. It was hard to make it look right.
So what is the general strategy? I saw you put the black on the top, and now the black's on the bottom. Is there
Well, according to the JPEG...
According to the JPEG,
you have your slate gray metal base. You add your white kind of streaky going across the top where the highlights are.
Ooh.
Right next to that, you add a black shape, and then you blend them a little bit. But I kept over blending.
It's starting to work.
It's starting to, and I think I spent the most time on the head and upper body, and then I really phoned it on the legs later.
I don't know if that's true.
I was okay with how the head actually ended up turning out.
That's cool.
Yeah, and now I've spent that much time learning to render metal that if I go to do it again, maybe it won't take me very long.
You're a master of metal now.
Metal master, yes.
I also made metal, but without any texture.
Sounds like the kind of show you would watch on Netflix.
Master
that
metal. I would watch?
Well, you like that blacksmithing show.
I have seen a total of 5 of these episodes, and not even full episodes. I just think that this show is really funny.
It is cool.
I genuinely think it could be a comedy show because of the characters on it. Not the character, the people. The people that are characters.
Those are nice people.
They are, but they're very interesting.
They are.
I love how the one guy always says... what does he say? He's like,
your knife will kill.
Yeah, your knife will kill. I'm like,
yeah.
Yes.
This
is my favorite part of the whole show.
When he says that.
And there's 1 million of these episodes on Netflix or whatever.
Oh yeah, they're great.
There's 1 billion of them. I think it's called
Forged in Fire.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Man at Arms, but I think that's a different one.
Oh, so
same
you
category.
have multiple shows, and multiple shows. Got multiple shows you like.
I've not seen many of these shows, but they're fun.
That's cool.
I really want to try this metal rendering technique that you're doing.
I can send you the JPEG.
You could send me the JPEG?
Yeah, I could take a picture of the JPEG.
We should put a picture of the JPEG up on screen.
There it is.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I love your editing sound effects.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're gonna have to make it like
I have to make up for my lack of actual editing abilities.
Why would we edit in a sound effect when we could make our own? Oh my gosh.
Did you see? I feel like I had a Drawbli episode where I had to make a car go across the screen.
I don't remember that.
Oh, it's like the most. Yeah,
yes,
I
did make you do that. Well, I didn't make you do that. I said in the episode, look, there's another car on screen right now. Oh my gosh.
That's what happened in that episode. Not right now though. That's not happening now because I can't do another car.
That took hours.
I am so like this is so new to me. I think I cut out like this pixelated image of a car in Photoshop, and then I put it into Premiere, and I just proceeded to make it walk across the screen.
Beautiful. That's all you need.
It was very funny to try.
Masterful.
I'm sure I could have done more.
I saw the finished product.
I figured it would be funniest if I literally just tried to figure it out on my own, and whatever finished result that would be, for me not looking up anything, would be the best result.
I don't think it looked bad. I think you're a very good editor, very skilled.
Oh, thank you.
I left out, looking back at this, I did leave out a few things, like I didn't put in his little seat belt or anything like that, but I don't know. Normally I'm like a stickler. I feel like I gotta get all the parts and pieces in there before I move on. But with this one, I was just like, it's whatever.
It is what it is. I'm gonna learn what I learned.
Get the main focus.
BMO's in it, so.
BMO, yes.
So it's just gonna look good regardless.
I wonder what BMO would look like with like a realistic metal texture on him rendered out. Probably would feel a little weird.
I feel like there's probably artists who have done that, but I think it would look good. I think BMO would look good no matter what you did to BMO.
I think your metal looks awesome, especially when you step back from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really cool.
Yeah, I comforted myself by like zooming out a few times just to be like, oh yeah. Hey, I guess it reads from far away. It reads.
No, it reads close up too. Like, it almost feels like a little dirty or rusty. I wonder. I guess like to make it feel more clean, and I think that's the texture. I bet it would feel more smooth if you blended it more.
Probably. I did decide I was okay with a rusty, kind of dirty texture, because sometimes robots are rusty, and I figured it could be a rusty robot running around. It doesn't have arms.
Yeah, why doesn't it have arms?
Because I didn't want to make arms.
Too hard.
Too hard.
That was too hard. I almost forgot one of BMO's arms when I was working on him.
Oh, no.
But yeah, I've started to...
color.
Yeah, I've started to add color. And I'm just selecting, like eyeballing the color as best as I can. Obviously, it's very different. But I didn't need it to be like perfect. I just needed it to all work cohesively. I was also using... I don't know why, but like for our last few prompts... I've been trying to use this hard paintbrush, and I used it with opacity here, which kind of gives it this weird overlapping effect. It creates like this... It creates a texture that I actually wasn't a huge fan of, but I just kind of had to roll with it. Because,
are you talking about like on his face specifically? Is that what I'm picking up on?
Yeah, you'll see it come up more as I add more of these colors here and there.
So is it doing that even if you're like leaving the brush on the surface for the duration of the stroke?
No, if it's like one solid stroke, it'll paint everything at the same. It's because it's like layers of opacity. The brush is at like a 70% opacity or something like that.
Oh.
So like if I'm picking up the pen and putting it back down, it creates like some of this messiness that I wasn't a fan of.
I run into that all the time. I feel like that's my biggest flaw, is that exact issue.
Well, I wasn't sure if I liked it at the time. I was like kind of feeling it, but the more I did it, the more I was like, no, I don't like this.
Don't go in that direction, because that's where I started from and still am at most of the time, and I don't like it. I haven't learned how to fix it very well yet.
Aww.
But one stroke without the pen leaving the iPad is helpful for me.
Yeah, or just using a selection tool, or just using 100% opacity.
There's literally so many solutions, and I keep making the same mistake.
That's okay. Sometimes we make the same mistake for a long time and we don't realize it, but realizing it is the first step.
That's half the battle.
It's half the battle. When do you add your glowy sections? I'm so excited to see how you do that.
I think those are like the last thing that I do, but I will spoil it for you. Luminosity brush.
Oh my God, you haven't used that in so long.
I know, I love it.
You were obsessed with that for like a good 2 or 3 episodes.
You scroll back to like the very early episodes.
Like the first week of Drawbli is like,
whoa.
Abby discovered one brush called the luminosity brush.
What is this iPad?
Yeah, and she's just going insane with it. Yeah,
it's very fun. Look at the pink you're adding. I like the second layer of pink you're doing on the crate. Did you just decide you wanted a different color there?
I decided to try to get it closer to the reference, but also I start adding in like a little bit of shading to my Bimo, you know?
He looks so good already.
Aw, thank you. Yeah, really there's very light shading on the character. There's not a whole lot, you know. He's very simple, so I kept the shading very simple.
Is it cell shading? I don't know much about cell shading.
Yeah, ish. So yeah, let's just say yes. Cell shading is essentially like very few steps between light and shadow. So yes, I would consider this cell shading because it's like a one-step shade from the front of the box to the side of the box. But if you look at the Adventure Time art style for like a rounded object, and this is a bad example because if you look at the chair is like a rounded object, but it's still a single step in shading. So actually, you know what? I think the Adventure Time style might be single step shaded for pretty much everything, but if I feel like if you saw a ball in Adventure Time, it might be like a little more softly shaded. I don't know. I've never paid enough attention to notice it, and there's no like, well, the hat's round, so yeah, probably most of it is like a single step.
And that's what cell shading is?
Yeah, it's pretty much just like not always a single step. It could be like 2 steps, or you know, it's a few amount of steps that kind of create these you know, sections or steps between a light to a shadow area.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if those are called cells or why it's specifically called cell shading, but that is what cell shading is.
That is what it is. Awesome. Well, cool. Here I'm adding the luminous patches, if you were curious to see that. I think I've glowed them all up now.
You've glowed them all?
Yes. Now
I was watching you do
trying to add some shadow, which for whatever reason I decide I just cannot get right. Something very simple. Here.
Oh, I thought that looked great on the first.
I know. I probably should have left it.
First take
and
there.
go back like 10 times to try to fix the shading for some very simple, very, very simple.
Yeah, shit. I find that I don't know, when you have a character like that. So I've referenced a ton of 2D art from professional artists, and they don't make realistic shadows. They just kind of throw in something quick and simple down there at the bottom. Yeah.
You work a lot on 2D art that does not use realistic shadows. I think that would be your biggest thing as a 3D artist, where you know, having
my biggest gripe.
Yeah, where you're like, they cheat it all the time. It looks so beautiful and artsy, but it doesn't translate to real life.
Yeah, that not specifically lighting, but yeah, there's lots of stuff that gets cheated in 2D. Like in your robot over there, there's a lot of things that are cheated in terms of like perspective. Like you definitely have perspective with it, but if I were to try to match that in 3D, the shapes would have like quite a bit of warping in some areas.
For sure. I don't think I necessarily came from a place of knowing it well and then
I do the
reworked
same.
it for my own purpose.
I do the exact same. It typically doesn't come from a place of like maliciousness or anything. Like people don't assume that a 3D artist is going to come and turn their thing into 3D. It's more of just like hey, I either didn't recognize it or it just kind of naturally happened.
I could see that definitely being the case. So getting some final metallicisms on the legs. I feel like at this point...
Metallicisms? I love that word.
It's like Metallica. Or that's quotes by Metallica. We would call those metallicisms.
Ooh.
Yeah. I don't know what any quotes from Metallica would be. I don't listen to them, but...
Listen to our music.
That's a metallicism?
That's a Metallica quote.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't listen to
Name
Metallica.
a Metallica song.
AC/DC.
Okay, yeah, that's about as close as I would get. Name an AC/DC song.
Metallica.
Oh, yeah, good job, good job.
Cyclical.
Cyclical? Oh, is that an actual AC/DC song?
I really love your metal texture. You did a really great job on that.
Thank you.
Very cool.
I'm
very jelly.
Oh, you'll get it. You would get that without any issues.
I should try this technique. I'll try that, and you try the color vibrations.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, that'll be fun. A technique swapping episode. You have to try to emulate. Yeah.
You did a very good job. I love it.
You did too.
Well, hey, click that subscribe button if you are new around here.
Comment below with an idea. We want your ideas.
We need your ideas.
We need them.
They're like our fuel.
Our fuel, yes. Our creative fuel.
Our creative. This is getting weird.
Anyway, moving right along.
Anyway, this is the part where we say
goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. That medal's so awesome.
Yeah, your tortilla chip turned out great.
Thank you. He's about to eat it.
Let's go eat some tortilla chips.
Ooh, okay.
Yum.